I wanted to dive in. So the movie's been received really well so far. I know it premiered at South by Southwest. What has the reception been like so far for you? Have you embraced it, enjoyed how well the film has been received?
Yeah, I mean, I have to be honest, the first time I think I've ever seen it with a crowd was at South by Southwest. I mean, obviously I've been watching this movie on and off for a year or so. But whenever you see a film that you've been working on with an audience, you really have a different kind of appreciation for it. And that crowd was unreal. It was like being at a rock concert. It was fantastic. Like there are details of the film that you kind of get used to after a while and seeing it all it's like seeing it for the first time, and I've loved it. I've really loved like being part of this rollout. And Neon have been amazing. We've done a few different events using the music as a way to kind of get the message out for the film. So I feel very fortunate to be part of that whole journey.
Yeah, no, it's definitely resonated with so many people. I know for horror films, there's iconic scores and soundtracks, whether it be John Carpenter's Halloween or Psycho. So there's such iconic themes. What films did you lean into or were inspired by in crafting the score for this film?
You know, it's funny, right at the beginning of the process, Michael Mohan, we've worked together on a previous movie called The Voyeurs. It was a very tonally very different film. And he started off by building a playlist of all of these like quite obscure, like Italian horror scores and whatnot. Some stuff that was like pretty kitsch, to be honest. And as we started getting into the process, we kind of abandoned it. We talked about this a couple of nights ago, actually. It's like that playlist that I gave you, we kind of didn't use it in the end, right? And it's like, not really. One of the first things that I had to do was provide the music when the nuns are singing in the convent. I had to write this hymn in Latin, and they needed it for on camera. And writing that piece kind of dictated the rest of the score, and it was a really great exercise to like figure out what the tone was going to be. And I think it meant that we found this language that we just started to develop kind of without too much outside influence, to be completely honest. It was just its own thing that just organically grew, which I was really happy about.
No, it definitely feels like it taps into some other films, but then it feels really organic and original. You mentioned there that you worked with Michael before on The Voyeurs, and I think that's a such an underappreciated movie. A
I
really great
agree. Yeah.
thriller, like Hitchcockian. It's
Mhm.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what do your collaborations with him look like, and how do they differ from your work with other directors? I know you've worked with a number of acclaimed directors on a variety of projects. How do your collaborations with him differ from others?
I think he tends to kind of start a process musically with quite a blank slate. I mean, like I said, he had this idea of maybe these influences that we could kind of source, but he's very, very flexible and incredibly enthusiastic and very freeing. And I think he understands more than anyone I've worked with the importance of feeling kind of secure and safe in order to be able to truly experiment. And I've felt like that with certain directors over my career, but I think more than anyone, Michael doesn't, he's not afraid to watch me fall off the bike. You know what I mean? And that's such a lovely place to work as an artist. I'm never worried about putting a foot wrong because it's kind of like, I know this is a bit weird, but what do you think? And he'll just be like, that's amazing, do that and just do more of this thing. And it's like everything is just sort of fuel to the fire. And I love that. So I think that he's able to sort of see things that are sketches in their fullest form in a way that's quite special. And he's very musical. He has a background and he worked at a label a long time ago and like he knows a lot about music, which is helpful. He knows how to kind of communicate about it, which is really, really great for me.
But it sounds like based on what you're saying, the he affords a lot of autonomy and creativity space for
Very much so.
you to be
Yeah,
creative.
yeah,
Um,
totally.
your filmography is so diverse and it's so interesting looking back. It's spanning thrillers, documentaries, dramas, fantasies. How do you choose which projects to involve yourself in? Like what to you what makes something a draw?
I think it's just always story. Everything to me is in the service of story, and I was very lucky to get to work with some titans of like the documentary world. Like the first doc I ever scored was for Alex Gibney, and his the way that he approaches his work is so cinematic and narrative, and like I think that in the end, that's the thing that's so compelling for me as a composer is being part of that storytelling. And when I feel like I'm like when my eye drifts from the ball, it's because I'm not remembering that I'm part of that larger
Mm.
process. And then we kind of like, oh yeah, I got it. We're here for in the service of story. And I think that's when a film score, a good film score does that, that's when I'm, in awe of composers. And that's where I feel like I want to be. So yeah, those tends to be the projects. And I think I'm just very fortunate that I've been able to kind of straddle lots of different genres and know a lot of different people that know me for certain things. And I love that. Keeps it kind of interesting.
No, interesting, but also really variable just in comparing all the different work that you've done. I wanted to ask what it was like to score the film and kind of collaborate with Sydney Sweeney being the star, also a producer, having a creative side on things. What were your collaborations with her like?
She was amazing. I mean, first of all, I should say that the first thing I ever saw of this movie was the ending. When they were on set, Mike was like, "You got to see what Sydney just did. She did this yesterday. This is the first take, and I think it's the one that we're going to use." And he sent me the dailies, and it was just like, "What?" And he's like, "This is our movie. Now we just have to live up to that ending."
Yeah, yeah.
But I think the great thing about Immaculate is that no one's seen her do anything like this before.
Mm.
And when I was explained the whole story of how she put this all together, it's very inspiring, but it's very real. Like she's very involved. Like she was at the mix every single day, and we were sitting in the mix making decisions about violin volumes and like sound effects, and like she didn't need to be there. She's Sydney Sweeney, but she chose to be, and I think that's just amazing. And Mike was telling me that she would be doing the location scouts with them in Italy, and just really, I think from what I can understand about her now, I think she just wanted to learn every aspect of filmmaking and really understand how she can help the various departments and participate and communicate about it intelligently, and she did all those things. So yeah, I'm very much in awe of her. I think she's really smart. She's something else.
Yeah, you used the word inspiring there. Everything about like her role in the creation of this movie is really inspiring to see how, she auditioned for it first and then came on in this
Yeah,
more like
yeah,
filmmaker role is outstanding.
super
Um,
cool.
I'm running out of time. As a last thing, I just want to point out I love the poster of Christopher Lee's Dracula back there. That's fantastic. Is that Risen from the Grave or
It's Taste
Taste
of
of
Blood of
Blood?
Dracula, which
It
is
Taste of
a
Blood.
movie that my father was in. My father turns into Christopher in the film, so
No,
yeah,
oh my gosh, that's
little
incredible.
reminder of the family business.
That's incredible. That's incredible.